Hi everybody! So this is going to be the last of the trilogy series I started back in September. Maybe I'll come up with some extras in the future. Either way, JRPGs are some of the most emotionally heavy games in the industry. For this one, we're going to look at the JRPGs that left myself and my content creator friends emotional wrecks. Chapters will be used so you can jump around. My pick will come at the very end. So let's see some of the games my friends have picked.
Hello everyone, and thanks Colin for inviting me to this collaboration. A game that wrecked me emotionally. I mean, there are too many. The ending of FF10 destroyed me. Chronicles' story caught me off guard, and I remember as a teenager I wasn't expecting what happened at the end of Star Ocean: The Last Hope. But when I think about it, a game that had a lasting effect on me even weeks after was Final Fantasy VII Remake. All the games I mentioned are emotional in their own way, but FF7 Remake was emotional beyond its storytelling. Let me explain. The original FF7 holds a very special place in my heart. It was my first JRPG I've ever played, and it's my favorite game of all time. While the announcement of FF7 Remake was a dream come true, this game had the impossible task of satisfying as many people as possible, while offering the players more than just a version of FF7 with better graphics. So of course there needed to be changes. We're getting into spoiler territory, so be sure to skip to the next entry if you haven't finished FF7 Remake yet. Alright. The ending of FF7 Remake raised an incredible amount of questions. Is Zack still alive, and if so, are there really multiple realities? And if there are multiple realities, how will this affect the next games in the series? And will Aerith survive? What does Sephiroth mean when he says this to Cloud?
7 seconds till the end. Time enough for you, perhaps. But what will you do with it? Let's see.
And is it possible that Aerith and Sephiroth are the only characters in the game that are aware that this is an alternative reality? And if so, why are they the only ones? All these questions bothered me for weeks. I felt kinda empty for a while because of the realization that I wouldn't get definitive answers for the next couple of years. Because of that, none other JRPG managed to emotionally wreck me more than Final Fantasy VII Remake. I mean, I still can't stop thinking about it. Do you feel the same way about FF7 Remake? Let Colin and myself know in the comments. Thanks again, Colin, for having me. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit like if you're enjoying this video. Alright, have a great day, and until next time.
Well, Colin, I thank you, my brother, for inviting me to another one of your awesome collaborations, man. And now, it's time for me to talk about the JRPG that left me an emotional wreck. Now, there hasn't been any JRPGs specifically that has made me shed manly tears, or made me cry, by the way. If you want to talk about those games, that would be Life is Strange and Walking Dead Season 1, but they specifically asked for JRPGs, so we're gonna give you one. And that game in question is Final Fantasy X for the PlayStation 2. Now, this game, as beautiful as it is, even if you don't play the HD remaster, is a very sad story revolving around life and death. The story revolves around a young man named Tidus who is transported 1,000 years into the future into a world known as Spira. I'm not going to give you a full-on summary of the story because if you watch these videos, 9 times out of 10 you probably have played this game before, so I'm going to get straight to the point. One of the biggest themes of Final Fantasy X is the spiral of death that circles around Spira, which mainly is caused by the big giant whale monstrosity known as Sin. As we venture through the game, we find out that numerous summoners go on pilgrimages to vanquish this giant beast, only for Sin to keep coming back, with no explanation why. We find out that the main religion, known as Yevon, has been hiding the real truth of that, telling the people that if we atone for our sins, maybe, just maybe, Sin won't come back. But in all honesty, it's all a bunch of lies, bringing the people to false hope for over 1,000 years. And on top of this, once you get to Xanakin, you find out that there is no fate for the final Aeon. One must sacrifice somebody close to them so they become the faith and become the final Aeon. rendering just about every single pilgrimage the past 1,000 years useless. All these journeys, just for a moment's peace, makes you wonder, what was it all for? And you see that question a lot as the game progresses. And the biggest revelation at the end of the game is that Tidus is just a dream of the faith. And once Sin dies, he goes away too. And you really feel it at the end of the game, because when Tidus tells him, the whole party does not know how to react. Especially Yuna, who met this young man just mere days ago, falls in love with him, and he just fades away, as if nothing ever happened. At the end of the game, you don't just find out that Tidus goes away, it's that Auron is unsent, meaning that he's a dead guy that hasn't fully accepted death yet. And he has been traveling with you throughout the game just like Tidus has. And he goes away as well. This hurt most because Auron was one of my main party members, and the fact that he's gone and I don't get to see him again alongside Tidus is a double whammy. Ugh. You know what's even worse? The media that follows 10 after it. Because Final Fantasy X-2, as great as the gameplay is, the story is just meh. And then the Japanese novella that follows after it, 2.5. The less you talk about that, the better. If you go out of your way to read it, it's borderline fanfic territory that will make you cringe so bad. That's more depressing than the actual original story itself. And if they do make a Final Fantasy X-3, can we please have it be a sequel or inject Nebraska? Please. But I think probably most of the staff behind Final Fantasy X would be a little bit too old to develop that game, by the way. But here's hoping.
Hey guys, Uppernimbus here. So I want to thank Colin Lack for including me in this collaboration of Japanese role-playing games that are absolutely heartbreaking and broke us to the core. Now my choice has to be easily Xenoblade Chronicles 3. There were a handful of moments in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that I found myself absolutely destroyed and in shambles. Now just a spoiler warning, I will be going into said spoilers within Xenoblade Chronicles 3, so if you've not played the game and you were planning on getting into it, please skip my segment and go to the next person. You have been warned. Now, to give a little context before we get to that exact moment I want to discuss about, we start the game in control of the main character called Noah and his two comrades Lance and Uni. However, these characters are just one side of the story. There's another set of three main characters on the opposing faction that we're fighting the war against, and those three characters consist of Mio, Tyon, and Senna. Fairly early on in the game's story, Noah and his comrades who are from the nation of Keves are sent on a special mission to go investigate a strange phenomenon, which results in them clashing blades with soldiers from Agnes. During their fight, they are shortly stopped by a mysterious figure known as Vandam, who reveals to both factions that there is a true hidden enemy pulling the strings from the shadows, and convinces Noah, Mio, and the others to band together and fight back against the shackles of this endless and unnecessary war with the power of Ouroboros. Throughout the events between chapters 1 to 4, we get to know these six characters and their bonds together. Their connections deepen as we progress the story, and of course we gain an affinity with these said characters, sympathizing and understanding their placement in the war. But one of the characters in particular, Mio, doesn't have very long to live. She's only got about 3 months left until she passes on. And when we eventually get to chapter 5 and 6, we find our party members caught by the evil faction of Mobius as we witness them get locked away into prison. And due to the fact that Mio is near the end of her lifespan, the clan of Mobius perform a most horrifying ritual. During the phase of a solar eclipse, this is when Mobius decide to send Mio off on her homecoming, which is essentially when a soldier fulfills their duty for their queen and passes on to the next life. And these events have lined up a little too well for the worst. Our beloved main characters are brought to the altar at the top of Agnes Castle during the phase of the eclipse, where they are forced against their will to witness Mio take one final breath as she turns into motes of light, fading into the beyond. When I played this game and got to this cutscene, I thought, okay, surely someone's gonna come in and rescue Mio, right? But as that clock kept ticking and the solar eclipse began to emerge, I had felt a sense of dread that I had not felt for a very long time in a video game. And it was absolutely heartbreaking to see Noah just there, helpless, watching the love of his life turn into light modes and vanish into the beyond. And the fact that Mio was accepting of this whole situation, she was accepting of her own death. Even right now, just talking about it is almost bringing me onto the verge of tears. And to me, that was honestly the peak heightened emotions within Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that threw me into a spiral that I was not able to escape for a very long time. Colin Lack, thank you so much for having me in this video of yours. This is a very interesting idea for a collaboration. And of course, I look forward to being an emotional wreck with everybody else's choices in this video. Until the next time, everybody, Uppernimbus is signing off.
Hey guys, AzzatheAce here. When it comes to JRPGs, there are so many of them that tell incredible stories and have beautiful music that express the feelings and emotions the main character goes through on their journey. Sometimes we even have an insight of other characters as well. By doing this, it gives us gamers the feels and even breakdown, whether it be relatable to us or how strongly the game expressed the emotions of the characters. When it comes to me though, I have played a lot of JRPGs that give me these emotional vibes, however, only close enough to breaking down, but not many tears are shed. Until now, I did not expect Final Fantasy 16 to make me feel this way, constantly making me an emotional wreck and experiencing a variety of emotions even all at once. Truth be told, I didn't even consider purchasing Final Fantasy 16 ever since it was announced. I didn't even watch the trailers. It wasn't until last Christmas I decided to pre-order the game when I was gifted money and was given an EB Games gift card for my birthday 4 days after. So what made me decide to pre-order it? Absolutely no reason. I don't even think pre-ordering the deluxe edition was what convinced me. Honestly, I just decided to. Maybe my mind and heart knew there was something amazing, incredible, and unique about this game that I didn't know at the time, because once I played the demo earlier this year, a month before release, I was so happy I pre-ordered it, as I was so hyped. So what exactly about Final Fantasy 16 made me an absolute emotional wreck? The story and how they emphasized those emotions with the most outstanding soundtrack with every song and theme. And who could forget Torgal, best wolf ever? Such a good boy. Dang it, I want those puppy and adult plushies of him so that I can cuddle up to them when I finish off Final Fantasy mode and prepare me if any more emotional breakdowns happen in the upcoming DLC. Now, gonna mention some spoilers here, so if you haven't played Final Fantasy 16 and do not want to be spoiled, I say skip to the timestamp shown on the screen. Before getting emotional, can we just take a second to look at and admire how epic Torgal looks in his Fenrir form? He looks so epic. I would love a plushie version of Fenrir Torgal. I love it, love it, love it! Love the fact that now since the recent DLC, you are able to show Fenrir form for the entire game in Final Fantasy mode too. Torgal, best boy, best wolf I've seen in a game. Clive's story is an emotional roller coaster, and Ben Starr did an incredible performance voicing as Clive. So, oh my god, Founder, it was so good. The emotions of losing Joshua, reuniting with Jill, finding out he killed Joshua, losing Sid, to learn, self-reflect, and accept the truth. Grr, that was so epic. To find out Joshua is alive, reuniting with Uncle Byron, the meaningful, intimate scene with Jill, that was beautiful. Losing Joshua again. Oh my, by the gods, Ben Starr killed it with the entire game with his performance. He deserves all the Best Performer awards and more. He is an incredible voice actor. And his post on social media always makes my day. He is so incredibly funny. But man, did Clive make my heart flutter, sink, and be soaked in tears. The story expresses many themes of loss, that it's no wonder I was emotional. Then there were times I was furious, like far out Annabella. God, I hated her. Christina Cole did a fantastic job of making me hate Annabella. What she did to Clive, how she treated Clive, Elwyn, the people of Rosaria, the Branded. Oh my god, it was so messed up. She was messed up in the head. The conclusion with her was somewhat satisfying. It is truly amazing how heartfelt this game is. You express your feelings and your heart trembles for these characters and what they go through. Except Annabella, you obviously consider a manipulative bitch. My heart sank after learning what Jill went through after the fall at Phoenix Gate, and it was so satisfying that she got closure from her tortured past. I love the relationship and chemistry she has with Clive. It's truly beautiful, definitely meant to be. God, they are so cute with each other. Even they made me tear up a bit every time their moments together were so heartfelt. Then there's Sid, also known on social media as Zaddy. Man, I did not realize how much I would love this character. I think he's my favorite Final Fantasy Sid. Then his death with his theme. Well, it's hideaway theme, but you can't ignore every time you hear it, you think of Sid. Ooh, Sid is one heck of a man. Loved Ralph Ineson's performance as Sid. So good. The bond Clive and Sid shared is amazing. Quite a few funny moments. Loved the banter. Sid was truly a legend. One of the few MVP characters in this game. There's so much I want to say about a variety of characters, and yet my segment can't be too long. So let me end it with what made me the most emotional wreck that I had to pause the cutscene and wipe my tears away. The send-off before the final battle.
There's nothing to say.
My
Nothing already been
heart.
said.
Emotional
That's never
farewells
stopped me
with
before,
Clive and everyone
so
he
just
met
you
along
do
the
what needs
way.
doing.
Gav,
Don't worry
such a
about
character,
us.
so
do our
emotional
best,
about
Uncle.
Clive leaving,
well.
starts crying as they hugged, and my
that
heart
is all?
sinks once again. Clive walking up to
Not
Jill, my heart is fluttering and starting to hold back the tears. Then finding out Torgal isn't joining you in this final showdown, so his cute winsome smile and endearing eyes as Clive says, Take care of him to Jill. Oh my god. Then telling Torgal, and you take care of her too, boy. As Torgal smiles and continues to wince with a smile as Clive cuddles him. 2 tears, no longer holding back. Then, the main theme for every Final Fantasy game starts playing as Jill says, we all choose our own path. Believe in yours.
We all choose our own
And I'm like,
path.
oh no,
Believe in
I'm
yours.
gone. Whatever comes next is gonna break me.
I'll be back. I promise.
The emotional tears are breaking loose.
I love you, Jill.
I know. I love you too.
Emotionally wrecked. Never felt this incredibly emotional for a game. Close to? Sure. A tear or two? Maybe. But never bawling my eyes out for almost an entire cutscene. Beautiful game. Perfect storytelling. Why wasn't this nominated for Game of the Year? This game definitely deserves Best RPG of the Year, Ben Starr with Best Performance, Best Score and Music, and Best Narrative. Thank you, Colin, for inviting me to this collab and making me relive my emotional wreck memories. Until the next collab, this is AzzatheAce signing off. Peace out.
So for my pick, we're going with a Trails game. Yeah, big surprise. But we're going with Trails of Cold Steel 3. Why is Cold Steel 3 my pick though? It mostly comes down to the ending of the game. It's just after a really bad event happens to Ash Carbide, one of Reen's students. And things seem to be going to hell in a handbasket. You'd think Falcom couldn't make things any bleaker, but they somehow managed to do just that. It's almost like Toshihiro Kondo enjoys bullying Reen Schwarzer, the main character of the Erebonian arc. For those who have played the Cold Steel games, you'll know what I'm talking about. Reen just can't catch a break, and it's little wonder he finally snaps at the end of Cold Steel 3. I was actually really close to my snapping point when I finally played Cold Steel 3. I'd just gotten out of a long-term and toxic relationship, and because of changes in management, work had become incredibly toxic for me as well. In Reen's case, it wasn't a toxic work environment, that was his breaking point though. It was being unable to help Ash, witnessing the supposed death of Prince Olivert, and seeing Milliam Orion, a character who's like a younger sister to him, get killed. This causes Reen's long-suppressed rage to finally boil over. Also, this is one of the similarities I share with Reen. I suppress my anger, and then it eventually boils over, and I say something completely fucking stupid as my filter flies out the window. Thankfully, my temper hasn't unleashed something potentially world-ending, like what happens when Reen becomes a sacrifice to the Great Twilight. Also, something else that feeds his rage, the fact his own father, Gileath Osborne, basically used Reen and everyone else as pawns to unleash it. Now, I know some of why this wrecked me so hard beyond just identifying with Reen comes down to the fact Falcom leaves us with a massive cliffhanger. This cliffhanger wasn't resolved for a whole year, as that's how long it took for Cold Steel 4 to come out. Imagine how myself and other Trails fans felt with that rather massive wait. Thankfully, 2020 was a massive year in gaming, so that proved to be a massive distraction. But when I completed Cold Steel 3 all the way back in late 2019, I was emotionally devastated, not just because of the massive cliffhanger, but also because of how things continued to be shitty for me like things had become shitty for Reen. I was going to wind up blowing up in a way that would have proven horrible for me if it had continued. Also, the pandemic nearly did cause me to explode in a bad manner a few times. Basically, Cold Steel 3 was just the right game at the right time, as seems to be the case with all of the Trails games. For me, they come out at the exact point I need them. They don't always leave me an emotional wreck, but the Cold Steel arc has managed to make me feel like one numerous times thanks to the amazing script writing, musical scoring, and relatability of the characters. Of all of the games from this particular arc, the ones that have gotten to me the most are the epilogue of Cold Steel 2 and the ending of Cold Steel 4. The true ending, that is. But they got to me in different ways from Cold Steel 3. In the case of CS2, I felt a sense of loss, but there was still hopefulness there. Cold Steel 4's true ending got to me because of the weight of every lost little interpersonal moment and triumph these characters experienced reached their climaxes, and you just feel a wave of various emotions in a bittersweet manner. But Cold Steel 3's ending felt bitter, depressing, and nihilistic, all things I was feeling when I first played the game, and the ending helped me work through that, as did the whole of Cold Steel 4. Thank you everyone who participated in this collaboration. It has been a real joy working with each and every one of you for these projects the last few months. Please check everyone out. Also, thanks go out to my channel member R. Campbell. If you want to help me pay for more ambitious projects, why not consider hitting the join button or clicking the link in the description. Not only will you help this channel out, but you'll also gain some additional perks. Also, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you want to stay updated on all of my videos, hit the subscribe button. I'm currently on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and I'm hoping to reach it by Christmas. Want to see the previous 2 videos in the series? Click one of the videos popping up on screen now. Until next time, keep blazing that trail.